to me why everybody's annoyed about the 30%. It was a pretty interesting, it's about, actually ended up being about 45-minute discussion because I
Really?
asked him to come on because he's the least inflammatory person I could have the discussion with, who wouldn't just say, Apple's highway robbery.
Right.
It was a very interesting segment.
Cool. When was that?
I would have to look it up. I'm thinking 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. All right. 2 or 3 weeks ago on your show. Sorry, Allison Sheridan is here with us, everybody. Allison Sheridan is here with us. NosillaCast, which you can find on, I'm guessing on Overcast. I'm guessing on Downcast. I know on Apple Podcasts. And if you want more information about the show, of course, podfeet.com, podfeet.com, F-E-E-T, podfeet.com, and at podfeet on Twitter, if you want to keep up with Allison as well. So, yeah, carrying over from yesterday, you said that Tom Merritt actually talked to you about the 30%.
Yeah. What I wanted to do was have that argument I've been having with podcasts when they can't hear me, where they're all talking about how 30% is too much money.
Right.
And that's kind of where I started the discussion of, why is it everybody's so completely annoyed by that? What is it that's so annoying about that? Because I was like, people say, well, they could make it a profit at half of that. How do you know? I don't believe they publish numbers that would let you know the answer to that. So,
right.
Where are you getting that? So,
are you like me though? Did you believe Steve Jobs when he said that 30%? That's just covering our nut. That's just covering the amount that it costs us. Seriously, if we did 29%, we'd be losing money. Because I never bought that.
Yeah, I don't. But one of the points I made in talking to Tom was that when you talk the cost of running a service, that's not the cost of inventing a service.
Yeah.
They had to invent this. And when you invent stuff, you invent a lot of stuff that doesn't work and never pays you back at all.
True. And then
so that's different.
The other thing that somebody brought up, I think it was Harry McCracken on Twitter, when the 30% discussion started coming up again. The 30%, by the way, that we're talking about, I'm sure people listening know, but just so we're clear, Apple takes a 30% cut of any subscription that goes through the App Store. It's 30% for the first year, 15% for each year after that. They take a 30% cut as well of any apps that are sold through the App Store or of any in-app purchases. And when that discussion started to come back up again about a month and a half ago maybe, I believe it was Harry McCracken who said, does anybody remember what selling software for smartphones was like before? We had no idea what the commission was that the phone makers or the App Store runners were taking. It wasn't even called an App Store, obviously. He said that they were normally getting between 50% and 70%. There was no clear idea of what was going to get through and what wasn't going to get through. And then support was a nightmare. And so, I mean, when you make that point that Apple, created something here, I mean, they did. And of course, the question now is, having created it and having had it been a complete success, are they now demanding too much for having done that? Which is when I think you and I are both like, well, why build it then if somebody else is just going to be able to take it away? But that was yesterday, and yesterday's gone. Just letting people know what we were talking about, because it's a bit ridiculous of me to say, right, I'm done talking about this. Let's talk about it again tomorrow. We actually didn't have another topic. It does kind of tie in, though, to the whole 30%, 15%, what have you. I was curious your take on various apps, both for iOS and iPad OS. I was wondering what the newest stuff that you found, what has interested you lately, and then I also want to know what you just can't live without. So, Allison Sheridan, everybody.
I like the way you worded it. You specifically said what's new to you, so it doesn't have to be new to anybody else.
Right.
I started to use Ulysses on my iPad quite a bit, and Ulysses is a writing app, and the big thing that it does for me is it allows me to write on my iPad with my Magic Keyboard on the iPad Pro. So it's a really pleasing way to write is on the iPad Pro with that keyboard. I don't know what it is about it, the single focus, something like that. But so what I do is I write my drafts of my first draft of my blog posts all go into that. I'm a writer. I write about 5,000 words a week for my show. Mm-hmm. And so when I'm doing this writing, I'm so easily distracted. And the funny thing is, the way I use it is I set my iPad up on my desk with my Mac screen right in front of me. So I'm writing an article right now about Synology, and then I'll reach up to my Mac and I'll open the Synology window and I'll take a screenshot, look at it, think about what I'm doing. Then I'll go back to my iPad and write. I could be writing in Ulysses on the Mac, but I don't find that as pleasing. I like to write on my iPad. So, but it instantaneously syncs across the iPad, the Mac, and the iPhone, and except when it doesn't. But it's like 98. But it's like 98%. I mean, I've only had it fail on me.
No, that's just a fantastic way to say it. It's great, except for when it's not.
Right, exactly.
Can I ask a question really quickly? I want to go back to just that setup. So you do the stuff that you're writing about on the Mac, but you do the writing on the iPad. Is that because of the new hardware that you have with the iPad, like the Magic Keyboard and stuff like that? Or is it because, as you said, maybe the single focus, not so much of Ulysses, but the fact that what your iPad is doing right then is that one thing, and the Mac is where you can go and play around and decide?
Yes. Because it depends on what I'm writing about. I might be writing about an iOS app, in which case I'd have to have my iPhone up to look at separately.
Yeah.
I like the keyboard. I find the keyboard pleasing, and I also like change. It's just like I type on this keyboard all the time, on this Magic Keyboard for my iPad Pro. I'm bored with it. It works just fine.
Okay.
Except when it doesn't, actually, which is pretty often. Caps lock confuses everything on my Mac. But I like typing on the iPad keyboard because it's different.
Okay.
And it's pleasing. It's enjoyable, even though my fingers hit the underside of the screen and stuff. But the big thing that Ulysses has that makes it usable for me is it's got text expander support.
Okay.
When I'm writing for the show, I've just got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of text expander snippets. I never write Podfeet. I never write, Synology is SYN semicolon. I have all these things that I write all the time that are in my fingers as text expander snippets. So without that, I wouldn't be using it at all.
This is not what we were going to talk about, but I do have a question about text expander, actually, if you want to give me about a 30-second thing on that. Is it always running? Because what I've done, I don't have text expander. What I've done is I've actually set up some keyboard shortcuts. Thank you very much. But the problem is when I accidentally come across a keyboard shortcut that is also included in a word, then all of a sudden, instead of the rest of that word, I'll have the first two letters of that word, and then I'll have a phrase that I've put into my keyboard shortcut.
That's where having a trigger on text expander is handy. I don't 100% understand how it works. I know you have to have text expander for iOS. You have to have it installed. I'm not using the text expander keyboard, which is, I'm sorry, I love Smile and everything, but I think the keyboard's really ugly. And plus in this case, I'm using a physical keyboard. For some reason, I'm writing an article about Synology, and my Synology snippet isn't working. I don't know why it's in there. It should be working. It's not working, but everything else is working. So I don't even notice text expander. It's enabled in the app, and I have the app installed. But as I'm typing, it's just like I'm typing on my Mac. It's just there.
So Ulysses is the one that's new to you. I had also asked, what's the app you can't live without?
Yeah, can I answer? One more thing that made it great was Ulysses is $6 a month. It used to be like $50 for the Mac app and $25 for the iOS app. Now it's $6 a month. But I have a set app subscription, so it feels like it's free.
Oh, nice.
The app I can't live without is Telegram. I use Telegram Messenger. It's a messaging app.
Right.
And it is the cat's meow. I love it. Everything I hate about messages is not hated, doesn't exist in Telegram.
All right, what makes it better? For you, what makes it better for you?
So I'm gonna do a Screencast Online video about it, and that's the hardest question, to convince somebody to just try it, because if you try it, you'll understand.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one single feature, group message threads never, ever, 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 ever get tangled. They're instantaneously everywhere, always, all the time, never wrong. Always the thing that you just said is always in all of them. That people don't drop off, they don't get tangled, and it's cross-platform. So there's no green bubble, blue bubble nonsense. Sadly, one of the things I really like about it is there's no tapbacks. I really, really hate tapbacks. Haha. You can write haha. If you really care that much, write haha. Because I get interrupted. I'm listening to a podcast, and I got a message thread where people just love the tapbacks.
Okay.
So I'm walking along, and it's like Siri comes in and says, "Hey, Ken Ray laughed at an image."
Right.
Steve,
I do that a lot.
Emphasized an image. Yes, you are a tapback guy. But it drives me bananas. I can't. It's like, make an effort or don't.
See that to me, that was an acknowledgement. You see, because I do the haha thing. Well, I do the haha thing for two people. When it's actually funny, Or
Like the picture of my hair I sent you yesterday.
like the picture of your hair that you sent me yesterday. What was that about, by the way?
I've just been experimenting with new hairstyles, and I
All
have
right.
found that pigtails on either side of my head when I'm exercising are quite lovely.
No, okay. I've been experimenting with hair. I think it's going away very soon. I feel bad because I think there are going to be pictures of me with hair, and people are going to be like, "Oh, he has hair," and then like, "Nope, nope," because man, I'm sick of this. Man, I'm sick of this. I don't even know why I did it. Yeah. So the other time is yes, when I know that somebody is going to be annoyed if I'm not acknowledging them. Basically, my mom. I think she might be listening. I don't know, but basically, I do the tap back for my mom because if I don't really have anything to say about something, but I want her to know that I'm saying something. I'll do the tap back, which now
My
makes me
answer
feel
is
terrible.
nice.
Nice. Okay. Well,
It's
see,
right nice.
now I'll know that that's just a tap back.
Yep.
For you, that's what that is. I haven't tried Telegram, and I don't think I'm going to. I will tell you all of the messaging apps that I've tried, almost all of them anyway, were because Rod Roddenberry made me.
Well, so I'll get Rod on Telegram.
No, it's not going to work anymore because I don't work for him. But man, do you remember when like we would show up at Macworld and he'd be like, "Hey, I'm using this thing."
What did he get us on? Yeah, he got us on, and he got us in
Voxer.
a giant
He got us on Voxer.
Voxer.
He got us on Voxer, which is still on my phone. And occasionally there's one guy who messages, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I was supposed to delete Voxer."